this can be taken back to the 1500s, and there are many versions of it. But I love some of the Hebrew stories. And the version that I like the best, there was once a king who was a very mighty king. It was good to be king. However, he found that he was a little bit, today we would say, bored, because there was no warfare going on. The crops were doing well. His merchants were doing well. He just thought, I just need a little excitement in my life. So he asked his courtiers, what could I do, oh, let's say, to be more powerful? And his courtiers had all kinds of ideas, and they thought about it. And one of them finally said, Your Majesty, if you could make a group of people leave your kingdom, that would show real power. And the king said, well, all right, but who would I get to leave the kingdom? And they thought different ideas. And finally somebody said, how about the Hebrew, the Jewish community? And the king said, oh, I no, because they cause no problems. They're fine people. The more that he thought, he went, I know, I'll have a contest. And if they win the contest, they can stay. And if they lose the contest, they'll have to leave my kingdom. And his courtiers all went, oh, all right. What kind of contest? And the king said, I have an inspiration. We'll have a contest in sign language. And the people all went, because nobody knew about sign language. And he said, yes, we'll do it this way. You find me a champion from the Hebrew community, and he will go against me Monday. We'll have to answer each sign correctly. And if they get each one of the 3 signs correctly, they can stay. If not, they'll have to leave. And his courtiers all went, oh. So they sent emissaries into the Jewish community to say, choose a champion to go against the king Monday in a debate in sign language. There'll be 3 signs and you'll answer appropriately. And if you get all 3 correct, you may stay in his kingdom with his blessings. Well, no one really wanted to do it because they were afraid that they would fail. The doctors, the lawyers, the accountants, the butchers, the bakers, no one wanted to do it. And they debated for several days. And Monday dawned the next day, when legend tells us a chicken man, a poultry salesman, he sold eggs and feed and chickens. And he'd been on a buying trip. So when he came back in the community, the first thing they said is, Yankel, you're going to go against the king tomorrow in this contest, a debate in sign language. And Yankel said, why me? I have no education. Surely you can find someone better. But when he discovered that they had all refused because they had to get all 3 right or leave, he was an honorable man, and he decided, well, I'm willing to try, because if no one does, we'll have to leave. So the next day dawned, and the king came out in his royal robes, and poor Yankel was scared to death in his peasant garb, and they had people all around to hear this silent debate. And the courtiers were there and the people, and the king said, well, my first sign is, and he moved his hand that way, and Yankel put up his fist. And the king said, very good, all right. And all the people watching went, because no one knew what either sign meant. And then the king said, for my second sign, it went like that. And Yankel put up a finger, and the king said, oh, I am so impressed. And again, people went, Then the king reached into his robes and brought out this piece of cheese. It was an old, kind of moldy looking cheese. And Yanko looked at that and reached in his pouch and brought an egg. And the king looked from the cheese to the egg and said, correct again. I am so impressed. And you, a little chicken man, you and your people may stay in my kingdom with my blessings. And he turned and walked back into his palace. And his courtiers all followed and said, Your Majesty, explain that to us. The king said, well, my first sign meant the Jews are scattered all over the face of the earth. But Yanko replied, no, Your Majesty, my people are one in the hand of God. And people went, ah. Then I put up two fingers, meaning there are two kings that he must serve, meaning me, the king on earth, and he, the king above. But Yanko replied, no, Your Majesty, my people serve but one king, he who reigns above. Then I brought out a piece of cheese. It was old and crumbling, signifying that the Jewish people were old and in a crumbling religion. But Yanko brought out an egg to say, Your Majesty, my people, my religion is fresh and whole. And everybody went, ah. Meanwhile, back in the Jewish community, they're saying, Yanko, what was that all about? And Yanko says, I don't know. I really don't know. It looked like he was going to reach out and hit me. So I put up a fist to say, you better not. Then it looked like he was going to poke out my eyes. So I put up a figure to block him. And then I think he realized I wasn't going to take anything of him. I was going to stand up for my people, because he reached in his pocket and brought out his lunch. So I reached out in my pouch and I brought out my lunch.